Hello, screenwriters, and welcome to Writing for Screens, the screenwriting step-by-step adventure, volume 41, accompanied, as you can tell, by the neighbor's gardener doing some heavy leaf blowing. I just don't have much luck when it comes to sound security. I am here every Monday through Friday, if I can make it, at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I will be going scene by scene through the process of writing a pilot script for an hour-long TV drama in order to show you a process for doing it. Not the process, not the formula, not the rules. It's just how I do it. As a person who has worked in the business for 25 years, I am trying to demystify the process. Not to make it look easy, in fact, to show you just how hard and long it is to make a script, but also to show you how fun it is. At the same time, if you want to ask me anything, this is the time and the place. If for some reason you are not free at this time and place, don't panic. You can still ask a question. Just go to writingforscreens.com and click on the Contact Me button, which is all over the place. If for some reason you don't want to go to my website, cool, I accept that. You can still comment here in the comments on each of these videos. Any video on my site, on my channel, you can comment or ask a question. I will get it. I will respond as best I can. Hello, 99 Precinct. Welcome to today's work session, and let's get right to work. The first thing we ought to do is look at some notes I made, because yesterday I realized that I need to create a new scene. I am adding to the outline. I thought I was just going through the outline to sort of polish it up to get ready to write the script. And as I did that, I went into the overview, the big picture. These are my characters. This is my theme, etc., etc. And instead of just tinkering and polishing, I realized I had a missing scene. I was telling myself that my character, Madeline, was a certain type of person, and yet I did not put that into the script. There was no scene where I showed her life and personality before the story begins, the disruption of the story. So, hello 234 Pika Pika. And yes, I saw that gardener thing, and I'm definitely going to talk about that in just a minute. But right now, let's talk about this scene, this introductory scene for Madeline, because oh, that's not today. Hold on, there we go. This is what I thought. I thought we need this scene to establish her job, her life, and her personality. In other words, to say, who is this person? The first scene with any character, the first time we meet them, is pretty important. You are not necessarily giving away the whole story of this person. There may be a lot about them that you are not telling us, but you must be telling us something really clear and specific. And I had to think, what is it about Madeline that I want to establish, to create a character? And what I thought about that is, I know that her story, her arc, is of someone who early in life got essentially scared straight and has lived a very straight, safe life for 30 years. And the events of this story are going to blow that open. They're going to shake her to her very foundation and put her back in touch with some qualities in herself that she buried. She has not been unhappy. That's the cool thing. That's the interesting thing. She has not been unhappy. Let's just put that in here. make clear she has not been unhappy in her safe chosen life. Okay, so now the thing is, by establishing her job, I am creating a scene with other characters in it, which we are then not going to see in theory the rest of the time, except, and this is what I realized, later we are going to see her in dealing with this question. If she doesn't go back to work right away because she gets dragged into this serial killer situation, like she's going to call into work and say, hey, I've got to go take care of a personal thing. I'm taking a day or two personal day off. But this story is hopefully going to stretch out a little longer than that. It means she has to call them. She has to say to them, A, I'm sorry, or B, I'm not sorry, that I am not going back to work right now. And that is going to be an interesting thing. So I wanted to make a note to myself, that's going to happen. And now I'm going to take that note and put it into what I call the series outline, which is simply beyond the pilot. It's all the stuff that I know is going to happen later in the story that I'm saying to myself, oh, remember, she has to do this and that. And I just need a place to put that. So I'm putting it right there. See, Madeline work office. Okay, so that's just a thought. That's what we do. We make notes. This is how I work. I write, I talk to myself on the page. I literally ask myself, like, what is she doing in this scene? And then I try and answer it. When I get a thing that I think is worth remembering, I copy it out of my stream of consciousness notes and into a document which will be more useful. The outline, the overview, something like that. That's how I do. That's how I roll. That is what I have to offer you, is a useful way to not lose your work. It is so easy when you are talking about a complex, big structure and story, when you're talking about a script that is 60 to 120 pages long, to forget stuff, to say, oh, I see that so perfectly. And then a week or two later, it's like, what was that cool thing I wanted? The whole, let's just grab this here. The whole purpose of a writing process is to be able to loosen up and free up your creativity and to sharpen your organization, your editing, and to grab it all, to capture it, to have a way that when you are doing this creating and this shaping, you also have a way to not lose it. That is the most essential thing. Get it on the page. Write it down. So that's what we did. So I said to myself, we are establishing her job in life. That means she's going to be working with someone that in her office, because what she does is she is a data analyst for a financial company. And I thought, is she putting out a fire? Because that would show how competent and confident she is. But I changed my mind. I decided I didn't want to do that because I don't want to make the fire just to show her putting it out. I know that sounds silly, but it's actually true. The number of lines I would have to write, the amount of scene I would have to create in order to explain what it is, even if it's just a couple of lines and she goes blah, 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 yes, no, tell him to, move that file, it's kind of boring. I have a feeling we won't listen. Then I thought, what if she's getting a promotion? That I thought was cool. If she's being called into her supervisor's or her boss's office, and then they would be talking about her personality, how she handles her job. And I thought, that's a cool scene. And then I thought, what if she's turning down this promotion? Now we're establishing a character. Now we're making her interesting. If she's saying, I really like my life as it is. I don't want the stress of this promotion. I like what I'm doing. Then we've completely nailed the idea that this character is happy in her world, which is going to be really cool because that's going to become destroyed very shortly. Anyway, that is what I figured out for this scene, and it just, one of the most important things you can do here is just pay attention to when something clicks for you. When, as a writer, the thing you are writing delights you, entertains you, amuses you. You go, ooh, if I saw that scene in someone else's thing, I would like it. That's the job. You know, try and find those moments and use them. So I am going to take this and put it into the outline. Meet Madeline at work, turning down a promotion. Okay, so let's make that a scene line, an event, a thing that's going to happen. And this is some details of it. Let's see if there's anything else. We want that. That's good. What else can we take from here? She's getting a promotion. Yes. I will mess with this a little later, but for the moment, I just want to make sure that I do not lose or forget this valuable stuff. Look at that. Look at how we have cool. Now we can take this and see. I am just going to make this a note to myself that we are trying to see. I'll probably throw out some of these notes, but at the moment, what I'm trying to do here is lock in what this scene is about. Okay, good. Ah, look, people are showing up. Hello, Matthew. Hello, Diathorn. Good evening to you too, wherever you and your evening are. It's mid-afternoon here in the Los Angeles area. So what I've been doing, for those of you who just arrived, is working on that big pink hunk of the script, of the outline, where I had invented a new scene, but it wasn't it wasn't a scene yet. It was just a thing. I need a scene here. I need a scene to establish this character. Establishing a character the first time you meet them, big deal, because you are giving us, we need a reason to like them. We need to see them do something or be something, but usually when they be something, they got to do something for us to know what they be. Then we are engaged in them. We want to know what's going to happen to this person who says, I like my life, I'm good. And then we see her getting a call, and the next thing you know, Madeline arrives and meets Detective Elms at crime scene. Look at that. Look at that. We have changed the outline because you do. You change. Oh, you didn't see me do that. I'm sorry. I wrote that. I changed this to arrives and meets Detective Elms. She is no longer, it's no longer our first scene with her. Well, look at this. We just got tons of people here. Hello, Jack90. Hello, Orphée Dwight Latin. I'm going to guess that that's how you pronounce it. If I am incorrect about pronunciation, please let me know. Okay, let's take a minute here to discuss something that 234 Pika Pika discussed. There's a bunch of Film Courage has been really good to me. Film Courage is a YouTube channel that you should definitely check out. Let's just type that out here. Film Courage YouTube channel. Film Courage is a super swell channel here upon YouTube. There, look at that. Film Courage is a phenomenal resource for getting a lot of ideas and information. Are all of them good? No. They collect voices. They are relentless in collecting voices of people who do this kind of work, who do screenwriting, directing, producing kind of things, agents, everybody, and also teachers, people who are theorizing about writing. So therefore, you can get hours and hours of interviews with all these people where they expound upon their ideas. And some of them will be helpful to you and some of them won't. But what a resource. I have to tell you, I wish that there had been such a resource. When I was starting out in learning screenwriting, there was one book called by a guy named Browdy, which was interviews with screenwriters. There was nothing. It was very hard to find out about this stuff. Film Courage is great. And what's more, they spent a lot of time talking to me. They interviewed me for a couple of hours and they sliced it up into neat little sections and they put cool headlines on it so that people come and watch it. And I strongly advise you to go check that out. So they just dropped a new interview with me, and one of them, there was a comment about the concept of the gardener versus the architect. The concept here is that there are two types of artists. The architect who plans everything out and then builds it according to plan, and the gardener who plants seeds and sees what comes up. This is an interesting concept. It's partly true. I do believe, as 234 Pika Pika suggests, there's a little bit of each of these in the other. There's a little bit of architect in the planting, in the gardener, and there's a little bit of gardener in the architect, hopefully. Anyway, somebody in the comments suggested that I was more of an architect. I thought things out, I planned them, and then I constructed them according to plan, whereas someone like Stephen King notoriously has said he does not really outline. He has a rough idea of where he wants to end up or certain things that will happen, but he kind of gets into the flow of the moment and writes each day and discovers as he goes. Now, I am not going to say that Stephen King is wrong because he's Stephen King. He's a phenomenal writer. And obviously it's working for him. And this is really important. Do what works for you. If you can sit down and, like Stephen King, churn out 6 pages a day of really interesting, well-plotted fiction, do it. I'm not saying you should not do that. What I am saying is if that is hard to do, if it's not working, the outline is a way to help. The architect might be helpful. What 234 Pika Pika said, which is absolutely right, is I am a structured gardener. I think that's cool. Basically, what I think it is that I am architecting, I am building a structure in which to have things grow. It's a structure for the gardener, so the garden. So therefore, 234 Pika Pika, I think, kind of nailed it. Let's just take some quick checks here. Diathorn loves Film Courage. That's how I found out and your 6 questions. Great. I cannot speak highly enough of Film Courage, and not just because they promoted me, for which I give them 1,000 million thanks. Love Film Courage and the Bulletproof Screenwriting Podcast. I have not spent that much time on the Bulletproof Screenwriting Podcast. The thing I do know about them, which I do like, is they're very into indie, into DIY, and I am a big fan of that. I have not really talked that much about that, but I hope to in the months to come. But yeah, good. Film Courage is great. That's how I found you. Yes. Okay. Oh, Matthew, outlines in great detail, then I re-outline. Yes, that's the other thing, and Stephen King will talk about this as well. His book on writing is really good. I don't agree with everything. I think he's a little hard on adverbs, um, but one of the things he says is, yeah, when you do that, you have to go back over it later and tweak some stuff because you'll think of something later, like I just did, and you may have written the whole opening of the script and then say, oh, I need to establish this part of Madeline this other way. I need to go back and add a scene. Side note, you can't imagine how difficult it was to do this stuff before word processing, which I started before word processing. I was writing on a typewriter, and that meant if you wanted to add a scene, in theory, if you were fussy about how a script looked, you had to retype the entire script. Anyway, just one of those things that there's advantages to being old. That's why King's endings are so great. Admittedly, Stephen King sometimes has some endings that are, I'm not going to say he's not a great writer. He is, but sometimes the ending is not as big a thrill as the rest of the story. Likewise, Neil Simon, another great hero of mine, the Broadway and film comedy scriptwriter Neil Simon, who, if you ever want to read great funny dialogue, this man was a master. He notoriously did not outline. He also, I later found out, I was reading biographies of like the Mike Nichols, who directed most of his plays. He had to rewrite the third act like in desperate fear during the rehearsals because they didn't have an ending that worked. So yeah, good and bad. Ink ribbons, indeed. I started in the era of ink ribbons. Okay, so just there is no right or wrong to the architect versus the gardener. There is no way to be. The best thing you can do is pay attention to what works for you. If you are the world's greatest architect, somewhere in there, there's a little bit of gardening going on. It may happen in the architecture. It may be like John Irving, the famous novelist, who says, I need to totally outline everything because then the words are all I'm thinking about when I am writing my actual text. Neil who? Cool. I am going to definitely write this one down. Neil Simon is a great playwright and screenwriter. Neil Simon. He wrote The Odd Couple. He wrote a thing called Barefoot in the Park. He wrote a really terrific script called The Out of Towners. The original Out of Towners with Jack Lemmon is a phenomenal script. He's written a lot of cool plays and movies. Neil Simon, if you're interested in comedy, American comedy writing, he wrote a script called Chapter 2 about the death of his wife, his first wife. He wrote a movie called The Goodbye Girl, which is a phenomenal romantic comedy starring the woman who would become, I believe, a later wife. I'm not positive about that. Anyway, good afternoon, Rhett. Okay, so that is what we were talking about with 234 Pika Pika. Now, since we are here, let's do a little bit more work on the under thought out parts of this outline. And that the thing I want to talk about here is Xena. I have not given enough thought to Xena and Xena's story. I took this out of the pink, out of the questions, but truthfully, this is still pretty vague. I couldn't write this scene as it is. I've seen the original Out of Towners. Excellent. I think it's a really funny script. Anyway, Xena. I have not given enough thought to Xena, so I think you guys are going to watch me work. You're going to watch me do something that I have not prepared. Very often, I will sort of pre-think things and show them to you, but now I am just saying, let's work. Xena, what is her arc in the pilot? And by arc, what is her story? How does the story flow for her? She is not involved in a lot of what's happening in the pilot. She is living her own life. So what I like to do is sort of take the outline and look at it as if it was just one character's outline. Throw out everything that's not part of their experience. So you get sort of a character outline, just the story of Xena in the pilot. And so the first time we meet her, she's calling Madeline, asking to help, getting turned down. That's the first thing. Then the second time we see her, she's reporting to the crew about George's death and Madeline having the files. Also suggesting they take over the case. So first we have that, and then we got that. Then not paying attention to Norman when he says theft is a bad plan. Actually, that means also accepting Dundosky's offer to steal the files. Okay. Then she is dissing Norman. And then she's hearing from Dundosky that Norman blew up the plan. Take out the she's because I know who I'm talking about. Then arriving at the house, getting permission to take the files, reporting reporting George's secret, no evidence, then being in on the killer's calls. Okay, so these are Xena's scenes. I've made a Xena outline here. Okay. Matthew says, when I introduce a character, I try to show their defining characteristics in the scene so the audience understands what kind of person they are immediately. That is not only a good idea, that's exactly what I was trying to do. Yes. The whole idea of introducing a character is exactly that, to try to establish a first version of them. Characters develop. They develop in that they are going to go through changes in a story, but also they develop in that we supposedly, the way Stanislavski put it, was we peel the onion. We take layers off to get to the heart of it. I just should point out, there isn't really much difference between the center of an onion and the outer layers of an onion. But the concept of peeling away layers is very important to a character. So there's two ways that a character develops. This is a very important concept. I'm just gonna note it down here. Character develops two ways. They change and the onion peels. I'm writing that down for myself because I want to put that into my videos about character, and so swear to God, if you don't write it down, you lose it. Okay, so so in doing this, I am going to actually create. Let's do this. I'm going to create. I'm going to copy the outline. Then I'm going to make a Xena outline. Boom. Now let's open the Xena outline and basically take out everything that's not Xena, which is a lot. Okay, so everything up to here is not Xena. Let's get rid of it. Let's delete it. Now, boom. Okay. Okay. Then, so we got Xena here, then Xena here, Norman, not really, no. Okay, so I'm gonna take, we're gonna take these out in smaller pieces. I apologize if you're watching. I said you're gonna watch me work here. This is me working. This is how you have to do it. Okay, so all of this is not Xena, and all of this is not Xena, and all of this is not Xena, but this is Xena. Okay, and then all of this is not Xena, so let's get rid of it. And all of this is not Xena. And then we got a lot here that's not Xena, which is interesting because she's actually going to be a big character, and yet there's so much in a pilot. There's just a lot here. Look at all we're throwing away to focus on Xena in this version of the outline. Okay. So far, so good indeed. Look at, whoa, a lot of white hat. Yeah, I left too much space there. Whoa. Okay. I know you're saying, gosh, I love watching someone type and format things. You wanted to look over my shoulder as I work? Okay. Xena shows up. Xena Got this out. Okay, so now I have a Xena outline. And I can work with that. But the main thing is here I've got the Xena big picture, the basic steps. And what I'm going to do, and I believe I'm going to do it, I'm going to start it here, but then this is going to take a couple days actually. Do some Xena focusing, go through the story for each character. I honestly do this for every major character. I try and track the story as if it's just their life, their experience of it. I can't emphasize enough how useful it is to spend some time imagining what it's like to be Xena on her journey through our story. Because then she's not operating out of what I need her to do, but she's operating out of her needs, out of what she perceives each scene is about. And it just makes you write better dialogue and better characters. I'm now going to take a little break to answer a question, which is, for a pilot, how much of the overall plot for a series do I need to establish? A few hooks and the major themes, or more? To establish just that, not a lot more. I mean, there are certainly things that you can establish, but truthfully, you're establishing the main characters. Character is everything, especially in series. A character is what gets you through. A character is what you're following. So you are establishing the major characters, or at least some of the major characters. Very often there are major characters who don't show up for a while, but some of the major characters in the pilot, the basic, as you said, hook of the show. What is the genre? What is the problem that these people are, the plot thing that you're going to say, oh, it's about a bunch of people trying to dig a tunnel from New York to Paris. Okay, what's that going to be about? And then the question is, so generally a hook has kind of two parts. There's the premise, the problem, the thing that they're working on, and then there's usually a surprising extra element, as in, this is a story of a bunch of people trying to dig a tunnel from New York to Paris, and when they get halfway through under the ocean, they discover the lost city of Atlantis. Now you got a series. That's a good series. I would watch that. Okay, so the answer is major themes. Yes, you want to give people a sense of what is the territory. Are you doing escapist fantasy where the hero is going to win out? Are you doing something where you're analyzing a social problem? What are the themes? What are the feelings? What is the tone? That's what a pilot is capturing. And then at the end of the pilot, almost always, there is some hook, development, surprise, twist, event that says the problem is going to be bigger than you think. So that is what I would say to Rhett's question. How much do you need to establish in the pilot? It is a lot to establish the main characters, the world, the genre, a few hooks, and major themes. That's it. That's plenty. If you can get all that into a pilot, you are in good shape. Matthew is asking a question. When you introduce a character, do you provide any other information, their name and age, the description? Yes. I believe at very least you want to describe a sentence worth. I have in the past, and there have been times when people will write like a little one-paragraph essay about this person. It depends. Everyone has their own style. I discovered that as much as I liked writing very full, rich, complex scripts with lots of writing in them, people like to read less. And so I tend to write one or two concise, juicy, descriptive sentences, and then I know that I will develop the rest as it goes along. But I definitely would not just do age and name. That's not enough. You want to know who this person is. And in the actual experience of watching something, we're actually getting a lot of information. We are getting their behavior and the story elements that happen in that first scene. And so you want to give us the things that we can't see. You do not want to over-describe them. You don't want to talk about how their eyes are a certain color of blue, because the odds are, unless that's a story point, unless blue eyes is going to become major unchangeable plot point, don't bother. The actor will have the eyes they have. But if they are someone who spends a lot of time styling their hair, you might want to mention that because it tells us something about them. Yes, describe characters at the beginning. Don't do more than a couple sentences usually, but there have been times when people have taken like half a page to really tell us about this character. Cool. There is no rule about this. Everyone has their own preferences. Some people actually like to read a good, juicy description. It depends on how much you know what you're doing. If you are describing things in such a way that is engaging and giving us some dramatic hooks as well as just physical description, if you're describing their you don't want to get into their whole life history unless it's very, very important we know that right up, because we're not going to see it on the screen, but the actor can play it. Who's to say? There is no rule about stuff like this. Screenwriting is a free-for-all of artistic choices. Decide to show who they are in their actions. Also do that, definitely. But a little bit of physical description is a good idea. Strange attractor. Thank you. You're welcome. Okay, cool. Well, it's been 40 minutes and we've done a lot and we've had fun and, get out while the getting is good. Get out on a high. I am going to be stopping today. Tomorrow I'll probably just do a full Ask Me Anything. I've got a pile of leftover questions that people have sent that I think are worth spending some time on. So that's what we're going to be doing tomorrow. And then we'll get back to the Xena stuff because we got a character here who is underdeveloped. Okay. See you next time. Go write something.